Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And today we are going to do a BT token guide for the month of June. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a different setup here. There's actually two new characters I want to talk about, and it might work better just to show you the character profiles here rather than put them in my box. So what we're going to do in this video is we are going to talk about the characters who should be coming out in the month of June or very close to it. And if you are at the point that you have 50 BT tokens, if these are good characters to be getting or who I would recommend you get with these tokens. Now I am recording this before the community stream, so there definitely could be some change ups here, but this is based on the JP timeline, which DFFOO pretty much usually follows to a T. It's pretty rare, but once in a while they will throw in a global first. I don't have any reason to expect a global first, but they could do one whenever they want, I suppose. But yeah, we're going to talk about the characters that we are expecting in the month of June. And so this is going to cover everything basically coming after Edgar, who is going to be our next release. So the first character we have here is Rex, who is Vaughn's brother. And Rex, if you're not familiar, is basically a cover tank. And the BT is going to allow Rex follow-up attacks to be even better. So Rex does have follow-up attacks. He basically has an overhead that can lose stacks, and I think the BT makes it so you don't lose stacks, so it just makes that even better, and it comes with pretty good auras. I would say, obviously being a cover tank will make Rex a pretty valuable character if you want to get them. So I would say if you do decide to invest in Rex, the BT probably isn't a bad idea. Kind of the thing I've been saying moving forward with kind of these new characters, they make the BTs good enough that you really want them if you're going to fully build the character, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just summarize the characters, and at the end I'll kind of tell you who I think my top picks maybe for the month would be. But yeah, and honestly, if I look at the whole list for this month, all the characters are actually really solid. They're all really good in their own right. It's going to depend on your box and what you want to do. But just so you get a little bit of understanding, tanks are good, right? And cover tanks are really good. So Rex could definitely be a good character to use your BT tokens on. Next up, we are going to have Garnet. Now, Garnet is a character a lot of players are going to be very familiar with. Garnet is one of the best support characters in the game to this day. Garnet's BT, well, it isn't the most necessary BT, I would say that. It does really improve her auras, and then you do get the Immaculate Judgment follow-up attack once with the gold debuff after. Now, that being said, Garnet is definitely very runnable without the BT, so you don't have to have it. What I would say is this: Garnet is a character that a lot of players probably already have to some extent. So if you're someone that kind of has Garnet's kit minus the BT, she would be a really good pick to token, because then you could token her and completely skip the banner, right? But on the other hand, she is a character that she's going to do really well even without the BT. I would say her BT isn't nearly as impactful to her kit as other BTs will be to other characters. So that one would maybe be up to you a little bit, right? Another character we're going to talk about is Rem. And Rem is a character that I am ridiculously excited for because I'm a big fan of Rem. I've always really, really liked her character in the game. Now, Rem isn't going to be a must pull, and I'm going to do a full separate, should you pull after the community stream or my pull planning video. But in terms of BT, dude, Rem's BT is actually really loaded. What it does is it's going to make it while Rem's BT effect is up, you get two really insane things. One is every time Rem just takes a turn, she does full party EX renewal. So the parties are going to have their recharge attacks every time. So basically she's party EX spam. Your party members can spam their EXs. This is very abusable with very strong characters that have very strong EXs that maybe charge very slowly, right? I think of a character oh gosh, what's her face? See, anytime I want to pull a character just out of the blue, I always forget it. But the character that's known for doing really insane that you combo with Hope, I don't know why I can't think of her name, but her EX deletes turns. She's the dark damage person, whatever. But from World of Final Fantasy. Anyways, she's a character you could really abuse with Rem because recharging an EX like that could be quite powerful, right? And you could think of other characters who EXs are like very strong. Actually, Edge is another character that comes to mind, because Edge's EX gives you party-wide evasion, which that can be really busted too. Although you wouldn't really need Edge with Rem's other mechanics. So the other thing her BT effect does is she gives the entire party the undead effect, which basically means you can't die. So this is the same effect that like Arden and Zac have. So it's that effect where like their life bar will start to like flash like pink, and that means that if your HP goes to 0, you just don't die. So while Rem's BT effect is up, you're getting constant EX recharge and you can't die. Not to mention you're getting like really good like Brave Gain and other auras. So yeah, Rem's like BT is going to be insane. So if, no, Rem isn't like a must-pull character by any means, but if Rem's a character that you are interested in, like the BT is definitely a good pickup for her. If you want to have those busted effects, which I recommend you get it, right? So next up we have Vaughn. Vaughn is a returning character, so people are familiar with Vaughn. Vaughn is still going to be one of the better single target damage dealers in the game. I recently did a video on him. He's still looking really, really good. His BT effect gives him a basically like a Brave floor or like a Brave retain, where like your Brave will always stay above like 20 or 30%. So like you can never like go below that while the BT effect is up. It really helps like damage dealers with a lot of dumps deal a lot more damage. Vaughn's BT, though, I would say it's an older BT, so it's not going to be as impactful as say like the effects of like Rem or Rex, who are like new characters that have like really busted effects on them. But Vaughn's BT is a solid pickup, but I would say it's probably lower on my list this month, just because even though Vaughn's like a really good damage dealer, he's not like he's not like the best damage dealer, and his BT effect isn't like the craziest. It does help him out a lot, but compared, like when you compare to other BTs that are around, I think Vaughn would just be lower on the list. And there's another character this month who I think is like the queen DPS for single target, which I would recommend way over Vaughn. So, but you could be in a situation where maybe you're not interested in the newer characters. I would say Vaughn would fall into the same situation as Garnet. If you happen to have Vaughn's full kit minus BT, really good target for your tokens, because you could pick him up and then not summon on the banner and have a really good BT. So is the BT good? Sure, it's really good, but it's probably less necessary than some of the other ones, okay? Next up, we have General Leo. Now, General Leo is a character that a lot of people I think are pretty excited for. He's kind of a single target specialist as well. There's kind of a lot of single target stuff this month between like Vaughn, Leo, and then Tifa, who we're going to talk about in a minute. But the way General Leo works is he puts a precision strike debuff on the enemies, and he can like delay the enemies that have that on there. But the big thing is when he's got his BT effect up, it's actually pretty busted. I'm going to say this right now. But any party member, as long as you're attacking the precision strike enemy, so they have that debuff on, Leo does a very, very strong follow-up. So Leo becomes, and Leo already had true HP damage in his kit when you're doing like single target damage. So we've got a character that's going to be doing ridiculous follow-up single target anytime you attack the precision strike enemy with true HP damage lumped onto it. Leo is going to be quite powerful. So in terms of like damage dealers, I think Leo would almost be like my number one pick this month. I think Leo's going to be really good. And kind of the transformation, he's almost reminding me of like a Noctis character, where like you can think of him as like, yeah, he's a really good DPS on his own, but you can almost think of him as more of like an off-turn damage dealer. And what I've found is after using Noctis recently, I've never been a huge fan of Noctis, but I've always thought of him as like the damage dealer. But then recently I greened his BT, and I've been using him more in the off-turn role and thinking of him more as an off-turn. And I actually like him a lot more, and I feel like I'm going to use Noctis a lot more. And I think the same goes for General Leo. If I think of him like I've got him with this BT effect and I'm getting the powerful follow-ups, I'm thinking of him more as like a really strong follow-up character. I think Leo's going to be actually very powerful. And I did watch the JP video of his follow-ups, and they're very strong, very, very strong. So I think Leo actually might be one of the better picks this month, to be honest. Leo's a character too that he's an older character, so a lot of people might have him built to LD. If you're okay forgoing the FR, he's a character where you could just jump in and get the BT and save on the summons, or you could summon for him with tickets and try to get the FR. And then once you have the FR, you can go in and token the BT. But I think Leo would be a very, very nice pickup this month. Then we have Charlotta. Charlotta is kind of like the Brave Gain queen. Really, really good at Brave Gain stuff for the party. Does a lot of gravity stuff as well. Her BT is just very strong auras, but very impactful auras. Really focus on Brave Regen and Brave Gains, but some other really good things there as well. That being said, Charlotta is definitely usable without the BT. And I think she would kind of fall into the Garnet category where they're very good support characters. They can kind of do what they want to do without the BT. The BT really so the way I would describe like Charlotta and Garnet's BT, they're BTs that improve the performance of the character, but don't really change what the character does. Whereas when you look at a character like General Leo or Rem, these BT effects drastically change what the characters do and are way more impactful. So if you're on the fence, I would lean way more towards something like Leo or Rem, because Rem, if you have the BT, you've got party EX spam and you've got an undead party. If you don't have the BT, you don't get any of that, right? General Leo, if you have the BT, you get these insane follow-ups. If you don't have it, you don't get it. So that's kind of the way you need to think about too, and it's going to always depend on your box and what characters you have. But if you love Charlotta and you've got her fully built, once again, could be like Garnet, you might have her fully built with FR and everything, but just no BT and you want to complete her, could be a really nice spot to use it just to get her complete, right? Now, the last two characters I'm going to talk about technically could be like the first banner in July, but could also be like the very end of June. So this is like the borderline characters, but they're going to be in the time frame. So we've got our other new character here named Iris. So Iris is a support character, who support characters are always like a really good idea, really decent pickups, right? The thing with Iris that's kind of crazy, once again, a very transformative BT effect. Quite insane, actually. So while Iris's BT effect is up, it sets the enemy's attack, defense, and max brave to 0. Now, I did not misspeak there. It literally sets all of those stats to 0. So you're pretty much unkillable, because if the enemy's max brave is 0, there's no way for them to deal HP damage to you. Their attack is going to be crippled. It's going to be at 0. Their defense is going to be at 0. So you're going to be very easily able to deal lots of brave damage to them. It's kind of crazy. Now, setting their max brave to 0, now this isn't like a Sephiroth. Sephiroth, what it does is every action it resets their brave to 1. It's taking their max brave stat and making it 0. So the enemies will still break and unbreak normally, but what'll happen is their brave will show 0, but it will be like gold. It'll be like their max brave and it is at 0. So the enemies like can't hurt you. So dude, between Iris and Rem, these are two BT effects where I feel like it's nearly impossible to die. Like, the only thing that could kill you is like an auto death attack, which most Shinryu bosses have an auto death attack somewhere. But outside of that, like, dude, like, Iris BT effect is like you can think of Rem and Iris. I know this is kind of crazy, but you could almost consider them tanks, because when their BT effect is up, it feels like I have Warrior of Light on the field. I feel like I cannot die. So Iris, I would put in the same category as Rem. Neither character is a must-have. You don't have to have them. But if you're going to build them, you want the BTs because they are very transformative as to what the character does and ridiculously busted. So you can't go wrong with those, right? And then we've got Tifa to finish it out. Tifa, I think, is still like the single target queen of the game. She's absolutely ridiculous. And her BT, if you're building Tifa, is a must-have. Now, this is a character that definitely veteran players all pretty much have. She's, for pretty much ever since her LD dropped, she's been like a top-tier character in the game. So, and she doesn't fall off as quickly as other DPSs because they made her damage so freaking heavy, so ridiculous. And her BT effect is a must-have for that. It gives her double follow-ups on all of her attacks. So I'm going to say if you're planning on building Tifa, or if you have her partially built and want to finish her off, her BT is definitely a very good idea, right? So kind of to summarize, any character I can see justification to being a good pick. I would say Vaughn would probably be like my last pick of the month. He would probably be at the bottom. And Charlotta and Garnet would also fall down to the bottom. Not because the characters themselves are really good. It's just their BTs aren't as impactful as the other ones, right? I would say if you want the best damage dealing ones, you want to go with either Leo or Tifa for sure. And then, dude, I mean, the Rem and Iris, like, they're crazy, like, with not being able to die. And then, obviously, Rex could be good, too, if you want that cover tank and you want more follow-ups, right? So, I don't know that... I think, like, Leo might be the standout BT for me, but this month is different than other months. Like, other months, it's like Quina, Rubicante, like, these are very obvious, like, yes, must have. I honestly would say that there's no BT this month that is like a must have, and I feel like the group of BTs together is probably closer than other months, where other months it's like really spread out, where it's like, yep, this one's very obvious you don't want, and this one's very obvious you do want. I feel like I could make an argument like for that any of these are really good. So ultimately it depends on which characters you're going to go for and what your box looks like. I think the general thing you guys want to think about when picking your BT character is make sure it's a character you have fully built or can build. You don't want to have a BT without like the LD, okay? And then the other thing is what your situation is. I think if one of these rerun characters like a Garnet or a Charlotta or a Tifa, if you've got any of those characters fully built, FR, everything, but just missing the BT, those are actually, they're going to go up a little bit higher on your list because it's going to allow you to completely skip a banner without resources, right? But if you're building new characters from scratch, or you're getting like someone like General Leo, for example, you might have fully built LD, that's a banner that could be good to go with tokens because it would allow you to maybe use tickets and not gems, going for the FR and then going for the BT after. But yeah, I would say my top BTs, like Tifa's always going to be there for damage, but yeah, Leo and Tifa, and then I'm actually really liking Rem and Iris, just because like the fact you can't die, I feel like is really busted with those. So anyways, guys, let me know what BTs you're planning to token this month. If you have 50 tokens to do it, not everybody will. If you have opinions about other characters, and here's the other thing, guys, I'm only talking about BTs that are out like this month or the month of June. Remember, you can token literally any character in the game that has a BT. So if you have questions about like maybe wanting to pick up an older character that's not coming out in June, that's definitely an option for you, but you have to make sure you have the rest of the kit for the character. So if you want my opinions on other characters I didn't talk about, hit me up in the comments or feel free to join my Discord. My Discord is posted in the description of every video. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.